is one that's, I would not diagram this on the test, but I just want to diagram it now so that we're all on the same page, right? The first one says more books were sold last year than any previous year. So you have the total number of books, and that has now increased, right? Cool with that? Okay. Then it says, in particular, there are more cookbooks sold. So if more cookbooks were sold, does that mean that the percentage of cookbooks has increased?
Nope.
No, because this got bigger, and maybe this has gotten bigger, but only less so, right? But only like 5%, where this got 20% bigger. Okay, just something I thought of as I was going through this, because I was like, oh, this is going to be a percentage of this thing, right? So far, so good? Okay. Then it says, for the first time ever, most of the cookbooks sold were not intended for beginners. Wait, the first time ever, most. So what does that mean?
More than half.
More than half, right? And how is that significant given what we already know?
Because we know the most cookbooks ever were sold.
Wait, what? What did you just say, Greg?
Well, this is the question I was assigned.
Oh, this is your, okay, in-house
Yeah.
expert, go ahead.
So the way I interpreted it was last year the most books ever were sold. That's what the first line says. The second line says there were more cookbooks sold, meaning that the most cookbooks ever were sold.
Okay, sure. The number of cookbooks has also gone up.
Yep.
Yep.
And then for the first time ever, most of the cookbooks sold are not intended for beginners,
Yes.
meaning that this year,
Yeah.
the most amount of advanced cookbooks, we'll call them, were sold ever.
Yes. Yes, because if it's the first time ever that it's now hit the most mark, right, more than half, that must have meant that before, advanced textbooks were fewer than half, right? So that number must have grown as well. The number of cookbooks has gone up, and the number of advanced cookbooks is now more than half, and it's never been more than half before. Then the number of advanced cookbooks must be greater than before.
Yeah. And then the rest of it is kind of irrelevant. It's kind of just fluff.
It's trying to trick us with the every continent thing, right? Ooh,
Yeah.
it's on every continent. Must be popular. Must be a bestseller. Nope, not necessarily. So hold on. What'd you end up picking?
C. And I still can't, I'm not like, it's not connecting why C is wrong.
Okay, so do you see why A is correct? Last year there were more cookbooks sold that were not
I see why
intended.
A is right, but I don't see why C is wrong.
Okay, so A is right because of this really the second sentence, or I'm sorry, the third sentence, right? C. Sales of cookbooks intended for beginners were lower last year than in previous years. Oh, Greg, in-house expert?
Yeah, so since it's the most cookbooks ever sold, the sales for cookbooks for beginners could have gone up in total numbers, but still it didn't account for more than half. So if the total sale of cookbooks doubled, then the beginners would have also gone up, even if they didn't account for the most of them.
Yes, here's some hard numbers. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so last year there were a whopping total of 10 cookbooks sold. Let's say that 4 of them were advanced and 6 of them were for beginners. Oops. By A, I mean beginners. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Now, oh, sorry, this was 2 years ago, right? Because this is all about last year, right? Okay, so this year, or last year, what happened? We know that there are more cookbooks sold. So let's say that there are 20. Greg's example, they doubled. Now there's 20. What do we know about advanced cookbooks?
It was more than half.
It was more than half. You cool with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now advanced cookbooks is, let's say, 11, and that means beginner cookbooks are 9. Right, first time ever, advanced cookbooks make up more than half of the cookbooks being sold. Okay, so notice beginner books went from 6 to 9, even though now they make up a smaller proportion of the number of cookbooks sold, the total quantity has still increased. Wait, are you convinced by that or just nodding your head?
It's late.
That's okay. Yeah, so hold on one sec, because this is just like numbers. What part of this do you feel like you start to get hazy on?
I'm like tinkering with the numbers to see if I can flip them, to see if I can get like, oh, well, what if it was 9 and 1.
Oh, sure. You could definitely come up with a case where C could be true.
Yeah.
It could go down. In fact, we could do it right now. We could just make this 18 and this 2. If advanced cookbooks are 18 and regular cookbooks are 2, then they've gone down and C would be correct.
So it's not that C is always wrong, but it's that A is always right.
Yeah, the issue is that C could be true, but it doesn't have to be true.
Okay.
Here's an example where it doesn't have to be true. The number of cookbooks for beginners actually went up, even though the proportion of them is lower. Sound good?
Yeah.
So the issue with C is that it's confusing quantity with percentage. Yeah. Are we okay with that one? Any other questions on this one?
I chose D though.
D. Most of the cookbooks purchased last year that were not intended for beginners were purchased by professional cooks.
I connected the second and the third sentence and I made a mistake.
Okay, it says more cookbooks than ever were purchased by professional cooks,
And the second sentence says there were more cookbooks sold. So
but not for beginners, right? But does that mean, who is it bought by?
anybody.
Anybody. So again, D is confusing quantity with percentage. More, okay, great. More professional cooks are buying books out there, but maybe before there was only one professional cookbook or professional buying cookbooks. Now 2 professionals are buying cookbooks, but still less than half. Sound good? Okay, cool. Alrighty. Any other questions on this one? Okay.